Hello and welcome back to the Spin the Rock podcast. I'm your host Angel, and with me today is my co-host.
Vaughn and only Vaughn for today.
Ignore the Home Depot boxes in the background, bro. That's one of the reasons why we've been gone for 2 weeks now. We got Eugene doing side quests. I'm in that process of moving. The beast keeps taking control over Vaughn, so we had to chain him in the basement not too long ago. So it's just been a crazy hectic past 2 weeks. But it's October, which means NBA basketball is right around the corner. Um, we do have some news to get into before we go into our continuation of the division series, and that is um, Al Horford is officially no longer a Celtic. He is now a Golden State Warrior, bro. That's what now the fourth big name that the Celtics will be missing this season. Now it's really only Jalen Brown and Derek White. How do you feel about this, Vaughn? Are you surprised? Are you sad?
No, I'm definitely not surprised, only because they've been talking about him going there basically at the start of the off season. And but like there was a piece of me holding out hope, like maybe he'll stay. Maybe he won't go to the Warriors. Maybe he'll just like go anywhere but the Warriors. But no, that's where he ended up, unfortunately.
Traitor.
And I don't even blame him. I can't hold any ill will over that man, given how much he's been through with my team. Um, but yeah, I see why he left. There's it's a waiting year. You can go compete right now, and you're getting money, and you're basically guaranteed a starting center spot because who else they got at the big man? Um, Now that Kevon Looney's out, so yeah, wish him luck. That's all I can really do.
Yeah, I forgot this isn't Google Meet, so while you were talking, I was trying to get Russet to stop chewing a pen. So you probably saw that the entire time, in the recording. I gotta, I gotta remember that now when someone talks, it won't just switch over to them and show no one else. Uh,
Right.
yeah, bro, it's it's not unexpected to the point where like I'm in complete shambles, like I'm in like complete shock. I'm not a Celtics fan, so I'm not like necessarily, hurt by this at all or like, confused. But I feel like at the same time, I don't know. I just feel like at this point, the Celtics, it's gonna be a really rough season, bro. And it's just like it's just is this the quickest a dynasty ever fell up? Not a dynasty, but like, have we seen a team win a championship and get dismantled this quickly, bro? Y'all won that
The
championship.
Lakers in 2020, they said,
Oh
"Look at
yeah,
all our
true.
good role players," and said goodbye to them.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. The Lakers in 2020. Yeah, and
But
this.
that was role players mainly leaving. It's not like AD or LeBron left. This is like basically all-star level people or all defensive level people, leaving.
Three
So
of your starting five left. One is injured.
yeah,
It's just like it's just it's sad, but I don't know. I think it's gonna be an interesting watch for Boston. As for the Warriors, I'm not like shaking in my boots about Al Horford joining them. To be honest, I feel like Al Horford's not like he's already kind of slowing down. We kind of saw that with the Celtics. But I am shocked, as in like that's like who the Warriors picked up. Like they went after him like that because like I feel like they don't. The problem isn't oh we need a big that can stretch the floor. They always had that. Their problem right now is that they don't have bigs who can dominate the paint, and and just like right now their big situation, I still feel like they're just trying to replace what they once had, and instead of just finding something to mix it up, add more depth to their rotation, they're just kind of finding like the new guy, who's gonna be our new big that can stretch the floor and kind of fill that role because it seems like they don't want to get anything different. They're just kind of going after the same type of centers over and over again.
I don't know. As far as like a big man shooter, I don't think they've had someone quite as good as Al Horford. Like there's Quentin
Yeah,
Post, who's like
definitely
really
not as
early in his
good,
career,
but they keep
and
getting
like
that
maybe
archetype.
Yeah, and like Andrew Bogut kind of like was trying to be that, but like Al Horford is like 40% from three, high
Mm,
volume for a role player.
mm.
And I think they just want him to guard big bodies and not take away from Steph Curry because that apparently is like Steve Kerr's MO is no one else can really outshine Steph Curry. And Al Horford won't do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's a smarter player, so I think that adds value. And just thinking who they lost, Kevon Looney, I guess, was sometimes the starting center, but like Draymond was starting center a lot of the year.
Yeah,
And he's like, what, 6'7"? Like, at least Al Horford, being a little bit of a shorter center himself, is, stronger and well versed. I think he'll slide right in pretty seamlessly.
yeah.
But they also added like a D'Anthony Mountain, brought back Gary Payton, and
Kaminga, bro.
finally signed Jonathan Kaminga. I'm like, even still, all this together, I don't foresee a championship coming their way.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Al Horford isn't an upgrade because he is an upgrade. I'm just saying it. I don't think. I just feels like they're just trying to get that archetype, and Al Horford is that archetype, and he's one of the best versions of that archetype. But in my opinion, I feel like they don't struggle when they don't have a good one. I just feel like their struggle is when like their centers get kind of taken advantage of. Now Al Horford might not, like you said, he can guard bigger bodies, and he isn't like Quentin Post, who was low key kind of getting bullied sometimes. And Draymond Green, as good of a defender he is a switch defender, but even he can get taken advantage of in the paint at times. Um, so it's just like I don't know. In my head, yes, you definitely upgraded because you want a big man who could stretch the floor. Al Horford's one of the best to do that. But at the same time, every time I look at the Warriors, I'm not like they need a better big man who could stretch the floor. I think they need a big man who can actually just kind of just be a big body. And I think Halford is good at that, but he is getting older. And how much longer is he gonna be good at that, bro? And how long is he there for?
It's 1 year guaranteed and then a player option for next year.
Oh, okay. So they might just end up replacing him again, anyways.
Yeah, I think they'll struggle against quicker teams.
Yeah,
Like you've got Al Horford guarding like a Shengun or something,
yeah.
who thinks very quickly and is pretty mobile for a center. They're
Hmm.
gonna struggle. But I don't know. I just that Warriors hater in me wants to see this fail.
Yeah,
As
well,
much as I love Al Horford, I just kind of the Warriors haven't done enough, I don't think, but time and time again they stay in the mix somehow.
yeah. We'll see. I'm excited to see how they do play just with the full year of Jimmy and all of that. So it might be a different look team all around. But we'll see. Honestly, I honestly don't know what to expect from them, and exactly what Al Horford will provide for them at the same time. All right. Well, that's all the news. So, unsurprisingly, we really don't have any other news. With October, we're in the midst of preseason is about to start. Teams are gonna start traveling to other countries and stuff like that, and um, right now it just seems like a bunch of nothing is happening. We're just waiting for everything to kick up again. The Clippers drama kind of slowed down, so any second now the hammer may drop. I think that's what that means is because all the news kind of slowed down. Is that any second now we
Well,
might get the ruling?
Adam Sandler, Adam Silver, or someone in the league office said their investigations won't be complete until All Star break,
Damn.
which is crazy because I feel like there's already so much shit they could go off right now. But I guess
Yeah.
they want to be thorough. If they wait till All Star break and it's just like, yeah, we found no wrongdoing, there might be a mass protest of NBA fans.
No,
That
for
shit
real. I mean,
is
and
crazy.
not only that, but like, what will the punishment look like halfway through the year? Like, what really can you do at that point? I think if anything, their investigation might be over at All Star break, but the punishment won't come until I'm calling it now. The punishment's gonna come like during the finals. They're gonna announce the punishment or like Eastern
Maybe,
Conference
maybe.
Finals. Kind of like that's kind of what they've been doing lately. Is they make big decisions like that during the playoffs for some reason.
Yeah, they just all across the board, their decisions have been slow these past few years. I don't know why that is, but
Yeah.
I've been seeing the punishment for Kawhi Leonard is he plays all 82 games.
Yeah. No matter what injury he's in crutches on the floor. Yeah, that'd be funny.
Bro, he could have no legs. He has to play.
Well, I don't know what punishment they could give. We talk every time the Clippers situation gets brought up, we just like spiral into what could they do because they're like, what could they do? They have nothing already. Most of their players are either injured and already don't play. I've seen anywhere from Steve Ballmer is gonna get executed on national television to that they're gonna rescind everything and that the Shea is gonna go back to LA and shit. Like I've seen some crazy theories on what could happen. I haven't seen anything that actually makes sense yet. So it's like at the end of the day, I think NBA fans are gonna be mad either way because we like every punishment theory or idea I've seen is like unrealistic. So I think NBA fans are looking for this big bombshell, and if anything, they're probably gonna have to forfeit, some draft picks, and then like, get a salary cap thrown on them even harder, so they can't like, really build whatsoever. Kind of send them to oblivion.
Yeah, because like, what do you just make sure they don't have a draft pick till 2035? Because of that, Steve Ballmer being one of the richest NBA owners ever. Like, how much money is going to hurt him? Probably no amount the NBA can come up with. And it's difficult because it feels like Adam Silver is kind of a softball, when it comes to punishments, and he can't really do that because I hear like the other NBA owners are already pretty convinced as it is, and if they
Mm-hmm.
don't crack down, like they're gonna be doing this shit too, like
Yeah,
even more so if they're not already doing it. So
yeah.
yeah, I hope it doesn't turn out, you know, like a Mickey Mouse type punishment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see the league, you know, uh, just this stuff rampant everywhere, but I could just it could already be happening on this level, but I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, I doubt it's happening as much as people think it is, but I also think it may be like, I think there are some teams who might have gotten a little bit worried and started covering up their tracks. Um, and then like I don't know, it's just crazy. It's you just don't know what's gonna happen, and the fact that we have to wait so long, it's just gonna make the NBA fans come up with even more crazy ideas, so that when the punishment does come out, there's gonna be outrage no matter what, bro. All right. Well, moving on to our main topic. No hot seat for today, just because no Eugene. Really haven't thought of anything either. It's just been go 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 for me. So no hot seat for today. But I do want to bring up one thing before we get into everything. Oh yes, some changes are gonna happen with Spin the Rock. So bear with us. We're testing out recording on Discord. We're just trying to make certain things, some changes. So bear with us if some things are wonky for the next few episodes. But we are back, hopefully back in full swing again. Gonna start posting on social medias again. Gonna start meeting regularly again. Um, Especially with the NBA season right around the corner, it kind of crept up pretty fast. So just stay tuned. With that being said, the division deep dives continue. We're back in the West with the Pacific Division. Um, Pretty much all around a pretty solid division, especially considering from the sadnesses that was the Atlantic Division. That was that was a pretty sad episode, as in like just going through all the teams and realizing how bad, um, that division truly was. But why don't we get right into it? All right, starting with the Suns, who are bottom of the barrel. They were 36 for 46 with a 43 win percentage. Over overall, a pretty sad season for the Suns, especially with so many people expecting big things. Just thinking of the Suns last year and your expectations for them coming up, how do you feel about the Suns?
Devin Booker is going to average 30 points a game, and they're going to be ass as a team. Like, this is like I completely forgot about them since the Kevin Durant trade
Yeah,
because there's nothing really remarkable there. Um, they got Jalen Green, they got Dylan Brooks. Okay, I don't see that becoming better than what you had with Kevin Durant. Still don't love their center situation. They've got injury prone after injury prone center, and maybe some of the rookies will show out. Uh, but other than that, man, I don't have much hope for them. They're like play-in team at best. Might be lottery though, which is sad because Devin Booker, his, his early career had too many wasted years, and now we're just back into the wasted years era. And I don't want to say trade him, get rid of him, because maybe there's a shot. Maybe next year they can retool, re-equip, but I don't have a lot of faith in the Suns front office ownership, all of that, because the when the new owner came in and tried to he broke up that finals team just to oh, I'm a new owner, I want to shake things up, and then we got this. It's just like, well, now you have far less than what you had come finals time. You had a defensive player of the year candidate. You had Cam Johnson, who was a really great 3-and-D player, and then
hmm
Chris Paul, the floor general, and now you have Jalen Green, who is a problem some days, and he'll get you 20 points other days. Dylan Brooks, also a problem. Like he'll get techs, ejections, but other days he'll bring good defense and hit some key threes. And then the whole Bradley Beal failure. Like
yeah,
who could have predicted that? Like we did,
yeah,
everyone did, and it's just I don't know what they have left to be excited about. Devin Booker's there, and that's it.
yeah. Yeah, for everyone who's nostalgic about 2016, bro, welcome back, Phoenix Suns fans, because this is basically what that is. Um, the problem that they had last year isn't fixed. The problem last year was that anytime your name was in Kevin Durant or Devin Booker, and you weren't on the floor, you were losing. Now their bench is just as bad, but all they did was replace Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant with Jalen Green and Dylan Booker. Once those guys are off the floor, it's gonna be the same situation as last year. You could be up by 20, and then that lead is gonna be gone by the time they finish drinking their water, bro. Like it's just a really sad situation. How their bench it just isn't any better, and it hasn't been better for the past 3 years. Um, I just think all around. Like they have an exciting center rookie, and he could be fun. He could be something they need. But like that, like again, that doesn't fix your biggest problem, which is bench players. It's just like it's just gonna be the same thing we've seen from the Suns before Chris Paul and them got there, bro. It's almost like they're back to square one. They did all this building up to the finals. They got there. They lost in a pretty devastating fashion. And then it's just been downhill since, bro. They haven't built upon that. If anything, they've been getting worse and worse every year. Um, I think Jalen Green and Dylan Booker are gonna be fun. That's gonna be a fun like when all three of them are on the floor. That could be fun basketball to watch, but it's impossible for them to be on the floor all game long. And like that's the biggest issue is that like anytime one of those players are gonna be out, it's gonna be like G League level players playing against team like especially in a stack division as the West, where benches are just as good as some starting fives in that conference, bro. So it's just like I don't know how you game plan. I don't know if you just accept the fact that this season is gonna be a losing season and you just you know tank for the draft, but it's just like you just keep losing so much year after year. Dylan Booker's not getting younger. He's not gonna get better. He's already kind of reached a pretty top level of basketball. I don't know what else he can do. I doubt. I'm not gonna lie, bro. They're not gonna get the play in. Their ceiling is 13 seed. That's their ceiling in my mind. Cause I honestly can't see them doing any better this year.
Yeah. Plus, like the coaching hasn't felt like what it should be, especially last year. But at the same time, like if you're gonna have some awful defense, like what can you really do? And considering this year they're really just a mystery box of a roster with the role players. Like, are they going to even play? Are they going to have a year improved from the last? Because some of those guys are young guys, like Nick Richards and Mark Williams. They're not old, but it's just the health comes into question. Uh, is the it's bro? I'm just so indifferent for this team. Like, I'm probably not going to tune in more than like 2 games for this season. I can't
I
bring myself to do it.
I hope you get them on the wheel spin, bro. I hope you get them in the wheel spin. That would be
Oh,
so funny. All right. And then moving on, right above them, but not too much, are the Kings, who did make the play-in. They were 13th. No, not 13th. They were ninth in the West. They finished 40-42 for a 48 win percentage. Overall, how do you feel about the Kings going into this season? Um, how do you feel about them last season?
I'm going to go to the store and buy like 2 dozen tomatoes just so I can throw it at this team, man. I What a dumb roster they've set themselves up with.
Yeah.
Uh, Zach Levine, DeMar DeRozan, we've talked about it. It's basically the West Bulls. Sabonis, they should probably move on.
Yeah.
Uh, and I like Keegan Murray, but I don't know if he's young enough to even rebuild or even good enough for if they rebuild, to rebuild around him. He might have to go. And it's just Dennis Schroeder is there, the journeyman. That man plays amazing when it's international basketball, but here he's like pretty average. And that's going to be, I think, their starting point guard.
Yeah, it is.
And
Unless they give it
and
to
they
a
want
rookie.
to get rid of Malik Monk. Like they're trying so hard to get rid of this man, despite him being like the only bright spot in the offense in certain stretches. And even their young guys, and role players, I can't get with this team. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they've been doing ever since reaching the playoffs that one year. But the Kings are going to Kings. Why should I be surprised? I was rooting for them on their playoff push, but now I can't stand looking at this team.
Yeah, I feel the same way, honestly. It's I think the worst part is that like how they handled everything, bro. They just like made their team worse. They're on the brink of, being able to make a push for the playoffs, and they made their team worse. And it's like, how do you like what in your head made you think, let's get rid of everything that makes this team somewhat functional now and replace it for people who weren't succeeding in a weaker conference. I was so hyped going into that season. You probably remember this. I was hyped, bro. I said DeMar DeRozan, that's an awesome pickup. Like I was like, oh, we're gonna like the Kings are gonna get back to where they were when they went to the playoffs. Like they're gonna be solid. No, bro. It's just like they just ruined their chemistry that they had and replaced it with guys who like already weren't doing any better. And I think the dumbest thing they did do is that like they had no point guard for the last half of the season, bro. No point guard whatsoever. Um, which basically forced them to get Dennis Schroeder, who he was good in the playoffs against New York. Like, don't get me wrong, he was like a spark plug, but he's not someone you want to be your starting point guard. You don't want like you're basically their point guard options is a rookie and Dennis Schroeder. And like after that, they really don't have any other option. So if either of those guys don't work out, which most likely they won't, they're just gonna be fighting for a playing spot again. Um, I think you're right. I think Keegan Murray was a good pickup for the team they had. I don't think he was like one of those guys where you're like, okay, we have a pretty solid team already. We're not gonna get a high draft pick. Let's get a guy who'll fit what we're trying to build. He's like one of those draft picks, isn't the best player necessarily in the draft. There was better players still up on the board, but he was a player who was a really good fit for the Kings. And now that's like, do you build around him? No, bro. That's like building around Michael Porter Jr. Like that's if the Nuggets blew it all up and they're like, MPJ, you're a system player. We're building around you, buddy. Like it makes no sense at all, bro. Um, so I'm interested to see how they do this season. I'm hyped about their rookie. I personally like their rookie a lot. He's one of those um, pass first playmaking point guards. But at the same time, I know DeMar DeRozan said all we need is a point guard, but I think what he had in mind was a vet point guard.
Yeah.
A point guard who can kind of do it all, and not necessarily Dennis Schroeder and a rookie who, if your main ability is playmaking, it's gonna be hard for him to step into that role right away, bro. The NBA is a completely different beast. So you may have been an amazing playmaker in college, but now you have to learn a whole different system. So there's gonna be some growing pains with him. Um,
Yeah, like it's gotten so bad, the perception about the Kings based off last year and issues the year before, but
mhm.
it's gotten to the point where now they're like looking at players to blame. It's just like looking at Domantas Sabonis, who was last season's league leader in rebounds. He's probably a top three, you know, best playmaking center in the league.
Yeah,
And then now I'm seeing slander for this man.
yeah,
Um, Even for DeMar DeRozan, as reliable as he is, one of the best mid ranges in the game.
mhm.
You're like, it's time for DeMar to retire, or Zach Levine's stats are empty. And it's like, I want to argue against these, but you look at the Kings and their lack of successes, I can't defend them really. It's just maybe there's a right team for them, but I just know for certain it's never going to be the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
could say here, trade them, trade them, trade them, but that's probably not in the Kings' uh, game plan whatsoever. Because what do? Build around these rookies that have no proven NBA experience? I doubt it. And then it's just like I don't even know how much draft capital they even have to start a rebuild, and
yeah,
it's just we're probably in for another season of ugly basketball from them.
yeah. Which sucks, bro, because like they really look to be on the come up. You know, they took the Warriors to seven. Was it a year after they won the ship? I'm not too sure if it was maybe 2 years after. Um, but they took the Warriors to seven. Their first year back in the playoffs, bro. Most of those guys haven't seen postseason. So like to go from that and then just destroy it all. Like I feel like the problem with the Kings is that they don't know how to build, bro. You look at all the guys they had on their roster throughout the years: Isaiah Thomas, DeMarcus Cousins, Halliburton, Buddy Hield. Uh, you know, at one point, they had so many star guys on their team, and they just haven't been able to do anything with them. And then they finally do. They finally get Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox into the postseason with Malik Monk, who, those three guys were finally able to find something. And then what they do is they trade. They trade Fox. They're on the brink of trading away Malik Monk. They fire Mike Brown. Like it's just like it just seems like they're making every wrong decision they possibly can. Um, I hate to say it, but I think they can make play-ins again. But I don't think it's gonna be pretty. I think they're gonna lose. I think they're gonna be one and done. I don't think they're gonna win a game in the postseason.
And I hope they don't, man. I hope they reevaluate what they're doing there because
Yeah,
it's we can't go back to the dark ages, man. There was how
Yeah.
many years of no playoff appearances for them? Yeah, we got two bummers right back to back.
Yeah, yeah, two teams that were on the come up who are now at the who are just back to square one. Um, it's just I don't know, bro. It's honestly just like where do you go from here? All right, hopefully. I thought the Pacific Division wasn't gonna be as oppressing. Up next, we got the Warriors. um, they finished last year. They finished seventh. They finished 48-34. They had a winning percentage of 585. And they actually made it out of play-ins and passed the first round. So this is the first team that had some success. Um, how do you feel about the Warriors coming into this season? I know we kind of already talked about them somewhat. And how do you feel about them in the past?
Um, I think I would never really consider the Warriors like contenders ever since, the Toronto Raptors championship
Mm-hmm.
uh series.
Yeah,
But they've proven me wrong once in 2022. They're at least in the mix for most of the years, or at least win more games I thought they would in the playoffs.
yeah,
But they're so old, bro. Like,
yeah,
if we consider no injuries all season long, Steph Curry plays most of the games, Draymond plays, Jimmy Butler, Al Horford, they play majority of their games. They're there for postseason. I think they could reach the second round in the playoffs, maybe even 7 game series, not knowing what team they're against. I think they could go that deep. I would be shocked if they make Western Conference Finals.
yeah.
Um, they're still scary. You got Steph Curry, one of the best point guards ever, and then you know
Jimmy
their
Butler.
defense at least sounds better on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't know, is age going to catch up with these guys? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
But like they could also go as low as play-ins again. They just have such a wide range. They're scary to be a fan of and scary to count against.
yeah.
It's hard to judge. I want to say like doom for this team, but I've been proven wrong plenty of times, so I can't say that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think most likely they won't fall out of play-ins. Like they'll probably, like the lowest they'll go is probably eighth or ninth. Um, but at the same time, I have no faith in them to win it all. Let alone, I think this year they might not even get it past the first round, just because like I feel like every team is building upon what they have in the West. A lot of teams are better, especially like the Rockets. They built upon what they did last season. Where the Warriors are kind of just sidestepping. They're trying to recreate what they had. They're not necessarily like finding a new way to win. They're not like getting players who like, oh, in our system with what we have now, this guy will fit. No, they're just trying to replace pieces. Kind of like what I said with Al Horford. Um, they said, we don't have a good big man who can stretch the floor. Let's just find another good one. You know, um, they said we need a second superstar again. Let's go after KD. KD was like, I don't want to go back, so they got Jimmy Butler. So it seems like they're just trying to find the formula that like won them championships instead of building with. They have a completely different team now, bro. And it just seems like they're trying to like replicate, like almost replace instead of rebuilding. When they fell when they were trash for those 2 seasons, instead of building upon the players they drafted and like kind of thinking for the future, they were kind of thinking any second now Curry and Draymond are going to be good again, and we'll just replace kind of pieces we lost throughout those years, and it just hasn't been the same since. I'm excited to see if Kaminga will actually get some playing time this season. I doubt he will, but that might actually change some things up for the Warriors. That might add a new, layer to them. But like you said, they're so old. Horford, Draymond, Jimmy, Curry. They're all pretty up there. At one point, people thought Steph Curry was gonna announce his retirement any second. This past off season, they thought any minute now he was gonna be like, I'm retiring after this year, or I'm retiring in 2 years, or something like that. Um, but I'm excited to see how a full year of Jimmy Butler is gonna go. Um, I'm excited to see Kaminga play. Maybe get some reps in earlier in the season. But at the same time, I feel like they're not taking any strides forward. They're just moving, laterally. They're not like moving forward. They're not okay. We have this really good player base. Let's get this guy who can excel us. They're like, oh no, let's replace Clay Thompson. Let's replace this. Let's replace that. And they're just kind of taking side steps. I think they can make. They won't fall out of the play-ins, and they could make the playoffs right off the bat. But I honestly don't see them winning.
No, I'm stewing on it. I'm like, yeah, their age is a scary thing. Their injury history, if it comes up, is scary. But maybe the greatest barrier to their success is probably Steve Kerr.
Yeah, bro. Yes.
I hate on Steve Kerr, hate on Steve Kerr. But if he puts out the perfect lineups, the perfect game plans, they could do a lot better than what we're giving them credit for. But it's just you need to utilize the younger guys, man. You can't have Steph Curry out there playing 40 minutes, and multiple times a week. It's just unsustainable.
It makes no
Draymond is a
sense.
physical beast. All right, he's gonna get hurt if he goes down, 40 minutes of playing intense defense. Jimmy Butler is also an intense player, so you gotta, he, I just know he's gonna fuck it up somehow.
I think
I
Steve Kerr is
just,
the biggest fucking perpetrator of the lateral movement. He doesn't change
yeah,
anything. He doesn't do anything different.
like when Buddy Hield was going through a slump. Uh, I think come playoff time or end of the year, he let Buddy Hield play through it, and like he would have one game out of like 5 games where he went off. Meanwhile, he iced Kaminga. Like we've been over this. Didn't want to touch Moses Moody. Um, and a lot of times throughout the playoffs, the star players looked tired. They
Yeah.
looked old. Um, and Steve Kerr, like you said, is playing like they're in 2018 still, 2017, and they're just not those guys. Like only Steph Curry is this guy who's running multiple miles per game, and maybe you could take a load off of him. It's just, I think he's just abusing the talent he's got at his disposal and just
Yeah.
kind of leaving them out to die in certain scenarios. And it's like I've seen enough of it, and it's gonna come back again. Those bad habits are gonna come back. So I can't put my faith in Steve Kerr.
And like, don't get me wrong.
But then at the same time, I don't know what would replace him. Like, do you fire Steve Kerr and bring in a new coach just for it to maybe be worse? No, I don't think you do. But I guess in certain scenarios, you just have to live and die by it.
And don't get me wrong, he was a great coach at one point, but I think he doesn't know what to do with what he has. I think he was a coach who already had a pretty solid system before him, made that system better, and now that he doesn't have those pieces anymore, he doesn't have, what he, those guys who can do exactly what he wanted to do. He doesn't know how to build the new lineup he has. He was throwing everything at the wall against the Rockets. And it's like, okay, yes, try to fix what's wrong, but you should have been problem solving with your lineup 6 months before that happened, bro. You shouldn't be experimenting in game 6 of the first round. Like that's not something you should be doing right now. Um and it's just like I don't know. I think he was a good coach. I just think though that time has passed him by. Sometimes you had a system in place, you had something that was perfect. That system isn't there anymore. You don't know what to do now, bro. You just it's clear. He obviously doesn't have a new system. He obviously doesn't know how to build with what he has. Um it's just like he's experimenting too late into the season. He's letting guys drown out there. Meanwhile, not giving guys certain chances at the same time, just because they don't play the way he wants them to play.
Yeah, and maybe a full year of Jimmy Butler, you know, fixes or iron out some of those issues. Like
Yeah,
he's pretty vocal as a person, and Draymond is also there, so maybe they do something about it. I don't know, or maybe they do nothing, and it's exactly as we expect. But you know, big highs and low lows for this team.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, they can skirt the play-ins, or they can fall into them. I honestly don't know, but yeah, I think the full year might, he might have done something different. He might have built something with them, and we could be proven wrong. That's always a possibility. But I don't know. I just doubt it will happen. I'm just a Steve Kerr hater too, so I've been a Steve Kerr hater for like the entire podcast now. All right, moving on. And why are we laughing? You'll never know. Moving on to the not the Timberwolves. Fuck, the Clippers, who God, bro, I thought it was gonna get better. This is another depressing ass division, bro. Um, Last year they kind of shocked everyone. Finished fifth, 50-32 with a 61 win percentage. Um, James Harden kind of carried that team, but so much has happened since then. How do you feel about the Clippers going into this season, and how did you feel about them last season?
uh, I'm not changing my stance from previous years. I'm a Clippers hater. Anything, I'm more of a Clippers hater than anything now because,
Every right to be.
well, this Kawhi, Steve Ballmer business. But you know what? I think they will finish around fifth, sixth.
Hmm.
They're old also, but like vets all across the board. Plus, they still got Zubac. Yeah, they're probably losing Norman Powell does hurt, but like you have enough pieces there to replicate what you had last year. And James Harden is probably one of the best regular season players ever.
Yeah,
Don't ask about his playoffs, but the regular season, he's going to bring this team Kawhi there, Kawhi not there. So I can't make the same mistake as last year because I think I said, oh, they're missing play in. Nah, they're probably making playoffs yet again this year. Um, they might sink to play in positioning, but they'll probably still get in. Uh, as far as going through the playoffs, probably a first round exit, which I hate to say it because this is Chris Paul's final year, and we're going to see him hopefully not get swept.
yeah, I agree with almost everything you said. I think they're gonna be pretty stagnant. They really didn't add or lose anything too much. I think Norman Powell is gonna hurt a lot more than we may realize. I think there were times Norman Powell won them games, um, but at the same time, I just feel like they could just kind of replicate what they did last season. I don't think they'll fall into play-ins, but I don't think they'll go any higher than they did last year. I think they might stay around like the fifth to the sixth. Fifth or sixth. They might flip flop either one, but I don't know. I just feel like at the same time, how much is this news gonna affect them, bro? Cause like that's just hanging over your heads every single day. You never know, what's gonna happen. The NBA said they won't be done until All Star break, but who knows? They might be like, "Psych, we actually found so much evidence. You're punished now," and it's like November, and so
Yeah,
like you just don't know what exactly is gonna happen. Um, and I think that might mess with them a little bit. But at the same time, they're not any worse. They're not necessarily any better. Bradley Beal does nothing for me. Chris Paul is a little exciting because he's not bad. Especially with I think he's one of those few players who knows kind of that he's older. He's not trying to do anything crazy. He's kind of leaned more into that pass first role. That's kind of all he does now is just kind of play make, run the court, and then like I don't see him, really driving, you know. So like I feel like he could, make the ball move a little bit easier, especially with James Harden, bro. James Harden, isn't necessarily the guy that can get the ball moving, and he was the first option last year. I feel like he can still be the first option, but Chris Paul can handle the ball a little bit more, which is why I think they might stay where they stay rather than plummet. Um, but it's just like no matter how good you do the season, it's not gonna matter, bro. They can be first seed, make it all the way to the conference finals, lose in seven, almost was there, and then Adam Silver's like, I am erasing the Clippers from NBA history. They are now the freaking Chattanooga Buffaloes. Like he could just obliterate all the momentum they can build up this season, or vice versa. They are worse than we expect. They're 10th, barely made out of the play-ins, got swept in the first round, and then out themselves are like, "Oh, you thought that was bad? Welcome to Chattanooga." Like it's just like I feel like this season is almost like it's unimportant. I hate to say that, but unless they win it all, nothing they do this season is gonna matter. Like, and even if they win it all, I'm still really be like that championship doesn't count. By the way, like,
Yeah.
like I don't know. I just feel like that's one reason why I think if they do worse, it's gonna be because it's just like I think you. It's gonna be hard to keep those players motivated when any second now a lot can change, no matter what momentum you build.
Yeah, like I was actually somewhat excited knowing Chris Paul was coming back to the Clippers because this being his last year, it's like his farewell tour basically.
Yeah,
And I'm like, okay, I actually have to tune in to Clippers games. I only got 82 more games with this man, one of the best point guards to ever do it.
yeah,
And then they added pieces, John Collins, Brooke Lopez,
yeah,
some more depth there, and I guess Bradley Beal. They want to replicate what Norman Powell's doing, and I'm like, okay, I think I would have more fun watching this more than last year. And then the Kawhi stuff happens.
hmm,
It's just it's that's gonna be in the back of my mind if I watch these games with the
yeah,
Clippers, man. Because like I've been following what Pablo Torre has been releasing. It's been multiple podcast episodes of more and more stuff. Um, and it's just I I don't see a way out of it. And it would have to be like Steve Ballmer under the table. Adam Silver, do me a favor here. Like that's the only way I can see this, panning out somewhat decently for him.
yeah,
And I just don't know what it means for Kawhi on this team.
yeah, bro. And
Like
what's
I just feel like he's not gonna be here. Like
yeah,
maybe he'll just like retire if he gets punished harsh enough.
yeah.
So
Well,
it's kind of scary for them.
it's crazy because last season you were like, oh my god, like Kawhi's back. Hopefully he can carry that momentum into this season. And then like that stuff came out, and it's like, bro, that man is the most like unstable person in the NBA in the terms of like his motivation. He can go from the most motivated player in the NBA like league, you know, like he has a chip on his shoulder, he's ready to win it all, to like I really can care less what this team does. Give me my money. It's just like how is he gonna be moving this season? Is he gonna be injured most of it, quote unquote? Because I honestly believe I'm one of those people who doesn't really think he is injured as much as he say he is. Is he gonna be injured, quote unquote, or is he gonna carry the momentum from playoffs? And he knows this might be his last season. Well, I might as well try to win the chip. I don't know. We'll see. But that's why I feel like even with their pieces they added, I feel like they're gonna stay stagnant, bro. Because it's kind of like that does something to a team, bro. And it could be for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
better. They could play harder, knowing that this season could mean nothing if they don't win it all.
yeah. It could be like if Kawhi's not there at some point, next man up mentality.
Yeah,
I will say my one bright star I'll put out there is Zubac's All Star.
yeah.
I'm putting that on the board.
Oh shit.
There was a So I'm just thinking Şengün and Jokic are locks. They have to be. And then I watched Sabonis play, as well as he could have, and he missed it. And you know what? I think Zubac's stocks have been on the rise. That man's an all star.
Yeah,
That's the only good thing I could say, really.
yeah, for sure. Do you I also have nothing, so you just want to move on to you
The
want to move on to the
Lakers,
Lakers? All
yeah, we
right.
might as well.
'Cause I literally have nothing to add to the Clippers. Um, they were also 50 and 32, 61 win percentage, but they finished third. Um, Now this team might be the only bright spot in the Pacific Division. Um, full Luca, full year, right? Full year of Luca. LeBron might, but might not be as good because he is older, but like at the same time, you don't want him to be 1A anymore. Um, they picked up some pretty good centers for themselves. So how do you feel about the Lakers for next year? And what did you think about them last year?
Last season was not the roster people were like, oh, championships on the horizon, but it's just like, I don't think any of us really believed in that happening last season.
Yeah,
Um, I also kind of have a hard time believing they're getting a chip this year as well, because they kind of just, they had basically no center. Playing Jackson Hayes was like having no center. And now they have DeAndre Ayton, who has kind of been on the downward slope ever since
the Blazers.
Phoenix.
Yeah,
And that could just be he wasn't playing, motivated on the Trailblazers, but he seems kind of temperamental
what do you mean,
in
Vaughn?
some scenarios.
Dominating?
Yeah. But at the same time, like Luca, LeBron, they could feed him the ball in all the right spots, and then he looks like a fringe all star again.
Yeah,
And Marcus Smart, the other addition, brings defensive intensity, but he's also kind of been injury prone lately, and he's getting older. We don't know what level he's playing at this point. Like let's assume he's back to his old self. It's still kind of you know temperamental in the offensive flow because like sometimes he goes stagnant. I've witnessed this firsthand for many years. Um, and then how does Austin Reeves fit next to Luca and LeBron for a full year?
yeah,
Because it kind of felt like in the playoffs he kind of just disappeared. And I think that's just coaching might have to find his place a bit better. And when it comes to their bench, I'm not loving it. It's Dalton Connect, Jackson Hayes, maybe Rui Hachimura as a starter. I don't know. Maxi Kleber, like a lot of these bench role guys are problems I saw every year they suited up in a Lakers uniform. Like you play Jared Vanderbilt, he has no offense. Like decent defense, no offense.
yeah,
Gabe Vincent might hit 3 games, 1 game, and then he might go 0 points 10 other games.
yeah,
It's it's still not a roster built for championship expectations, but considering you got Luca for the full season and he looks the slimmest he's been since like rookie sophomore year, he might be moving different. He might be a demon on the court, and they probably win a few more games than last season. I would hope, because if you don't, like, what do they do? Trade LeBron? Does LeBron even want to be traded? Like, does he just retire on the spot? I don't know.
yeah,
Also, another scenario where it's kind of like scary because you're they've made it known they're transitioning to build around Luka Doncic, but like you don't want to lose the Luka LeBron
yeah,
team up any sooner than you have to.
yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of like in the mindset that this year is like a very solid year for them. That this year can be like, they could finish first seed. They could make a run. But I also think that this year can also be a year for what they need to like start thinking about like how to build because you know it's just like you have a lot now, but you don't know how many of those pieces you'll still have. Like you said, LeBron could either retire or request a trade any second now. Um, I know you want to build around Luca, but like how many of those good pieces are gonna have to be forced to give up to build around Luca? I think the bright spot is that he is looking in shape again. Not that I ever think he was, as bad as the
Yeah,
Mavs GM thought he was, but he is looking in shape, which is always nice. I think DeAndre Ayton is one of those guys where I feel like he's a system player, so it might work out for him. But as far as everything else, it's like JJ Redick. He has some things he can improve on. There were some errors he made last season that was you know kind of was like showing like how new of a coach he was. So he can definitely improve on some things. The younger guys they brought in, they can definitely improve on some things. I think last year was a sign of what's to come. Now, of course, they kind of fumbled into that, just somehow getting Luka out of nowhere. But I feel like their ceiling is the first seed, but their floor is like the sixth seed, bro. Like I honestly think they can fall from anywhere of those like spots because Luka and LeBron could be like magic, bro. It could be the Lakers are back, or it could be like okay, last season those kinks aren't gone. Those moments of them not knowing exactly how to bounce off of each other are still there. So and they lose a couple games they should win. Um, but I just think the ceiling's high for the Lakers, and that kind of it hurts me to say, but like they look like they can be a pretty solid team. Now, if Eugene was here, because Eugene is a gloomer of a doomer of a Lakers fan, he could probably tell you all the problems he sees. But as far as I can tell, I think most of those problems could have been fixed this past off season. We just don't know until we see them play again.
I think the biggest thing out of this is LeBron wanted AD to become the one,
Yeah,
the number one guy on the team, and every time AD just could not fill that role, and LeBron was left with the burden of scoring every big time shot or making the big time play.
yeah,
But now that he does have Luca, it's basically a guarantee he doesn't have to do that every time.
yeah,
Like he's finally gotten what he's want. I think that's the one thing, you know, keeping him from being like trade me here, trade me there,
yeah,
because you're never going to get a better teammate than Luka Doncic. Like to get you know a team in the East, team in the West, you're never going to get a better teammate than Luka.
no, no,
So
for sure.
that it's just like that would be the ideal scenario for LeBron. Um, also, I do you think it's going to be his last season? Because I'm not convinced.
I don't think it will
I
be.
feel
I
like
He's very vocal on the fact that he wanted to play with Bryce. So
well, recently he just said I'm not waiting for Bryce. And he looked old saying it, man. Like I think that's part of the reason why people are so convinced like this could be his last. But at the same time, I think he just wants to see how much he has left.
yeah,
Regardless of like what family matters are calling forth. I think we at least got next season with him. I think he would definitely tell in advance. Like Chris Paul just did this offseason. Like this is gonna be my last season. Um,
yeah. I'm kind
but
of
yeah,
sorry. Go on.
uh, yeah, that's all I had.
I was team. He's gonna leave the second Bryce gets drafted, but now, I think I'm more so like with you. I think he's gonna stay at least one more season, and I think it's gonna be with the Lakers. I think he's gonna retire a Laker. Um, and I think the whole not waiting for Bryce, I didn't even know he said that. But like I think at one point he must, at one point he was kind of like, I don't think we're gonna go back, maybe, and that's why he was so vocal on playing with Bryce when he gets drafted. But maybe now he kind of has a team that can do something again. So and maybe now he might stay these extra 2 years, this year and next, to see what can happen and retire a Laker. Now, will he? Who fucking knows, bro? I don't know exactly. He could retire this year, or he can play another 2 years and then, play the next year with the Lakers and then join Bryce and then retire or something like that. It's just like, I feel like you never know with LeBron just because he's been doing it so long and has been performing at such a high level that there's no reason for him to like make a rash decision. You know what I mean? Like that's probably why
Yeah.
he's kind of just like it's kind of like just kind of just being real with us. Like every other second, it seems like he changes his mind about whether if he's gonna stay longer or not. But I feel like
And
it is coming soon. If not this year, it's gotta be next year, bro.
yeah, like what gets me is there's gonna be a void of like his character and mystique and like the memes around him. There's no one gonna fill that, man. Le Pookie, my
Yeah,
sunshine. There's
my
no one in the
sunshine,
league that's getting like those titles added to him.
my
So
glorious king, my
that'll be
glorious,
scary hours.
my glorious king, my Pookie Wookie.
Yeah.
It's so funny too, cause like I just think I think he is retiring soon because he's doing all these podcasts and he's commenting on things where like old LeBron would never comment on, bro. He's commenting on the whole, first off, happy National Women's Day. He's acknowledging that clip. He's acknowledging, you know, Lay Cap, and so like I think he is getting close to the end of his career, just because I feel like old LeBron, he was kind of the person who would like, not acknowledge that shit.
Mhm.
He was never the type of guy to be as vocal as he is now. Now he's on podcasts, he's on streams, he's bringing up funny moments that like before he would act like they didn't exist. But I think the Lakers have a really good chance this year of going far. I don't think they can win it all, um, because I think the Thunder is gonna go back to back, but I think that they have a very high chance of having a season where they could go to the Western Conference Finals. But also at the same time, you fucking never know with the Lakers. Like I don't think anyone thought they would finish third and have Luca on their team by the end of the season. So we'll see what happens. Well, any last comments on the Pacific Division, Vaughn?
I thought there was gonna be higher hopes for them, but then we started talking, and I'm like, oh, never mind.
Yeah,
It's kind of gloomy here.
I honestly, after we did the Atlantic Division, I was like, well, at least we're going back to the West. At least we're going back to the West where everything's bright and happy and anyone can win. And then it took us to the top team in that division to be happy. and, um, and it continues with nothing but pain. Because next week, I don't even think we should talk about this division. Next week, we're in the Southeast. Oh, I think that's what it's called with the Hornets. and
Oh, brother, man.
I don't know if we should skip that division and just do the Nuggets division. I honestly don't know what we
We
should do.
we could honestly do both because we're probably talking 2 minutes on each of the teams in the East at that point. Like, there's not much to say about most of those teams.
Yeah, maybe we'll combine the Northwest and the Southeast because it's the Heat, the Hornets, the Wizards, and the Magic and the
Oh,
Hawks.
brother.
Yeah, and then the Northwest isn't as any better either. They have both the Jazz and the Blazers. So there's five awful teams we have to talk about next week. So we'll just combine them. So tune in for that for the last episode of the Division series. Um, if you're listening on podcast platforms, make sure you give us that good old 5 stars. Leave a review. We're on all podcast platforms, so check us out there. YouTube is where you can find our video format. You make sure you subscribe, like, leave a comment. Who do you think is the best team in the Pacific Division? Were we too hard on any of those teams? Were we not hard enough? Let us know. Um, and yeah, we're on all social media platforms at Spin the Rock. Hopefully, we'll start posting again. I know we kind of went MIA on TikTok and Instagram and only posting that the video is up on Twitter. But hopefully, we can make a comeback there because NBA season is right around the corner. It's October 3rd, and I'm seeing people drink pumpkin spice and sweater vests, and I'm like, okay, NBA basketball is almost here. You know, so it's good to be back. Thank you for listening. We'll see you again next week.